In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, 1975, Chapter 231, the notice requirements have been satisfied. The meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center, and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Just for the record, it sounds like Mayor Rustin will be back at the next meeting, healthy, which is good news, so just wanted to say that. So, Jewel, the first thing is the financial advisor services?
What I would.
Before we go to,
suggest-
Go
usually
ahead,
there
Max.
is revision to the agenda.
In
I-
the
No.
regular
That's in the
meeting.
public meeting, Max.
This is the committee of the
This
whole.
is, we have 2 meetings tonight,
All
right?
right, good.
Our bond counsel just informed Susan that he's in the area, and he'd be happy to stop by and participate in that discussion. So I would suggest maybe we do the items that Bob Culbert is here for.
Yes,
Okay.
B,
Is that good
C,
for
and
everyone?
D.
yeah, that's very good.
Okay, Bob?
Okay, here we go. First item up, I believe, is Sherwood
Sherwood
Road, the paper street.
Yes,
We have a small section of property that we own off Sherwood. It's 15 foot wide by about 70 foot long, and it's unnecessary for us to own. Number one, the only thing, activity that property sees is, gives access to number 30, 37.
Can I interrupt you for a
Go
second?
ahead.
Does everyone know where he's talking about?
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So we
Sorry.
have a chart,
You have the map?
a map over here.
It gives access to number 75 and 77 Angle to their driveways. Other than that, the municipality
Lot 12 and
has no
13.
use for the piece of property, and I'm recommending that we vacate same.
So do the residents know that? Are they in agreement with that? Where are we with that issue? Or Bill, do you want to weigh in?
I'm looking at this map here. Show me
It's here,
12
Here.
and 13 at the
here,
top.
this is the shaded.
Oh, this little,
Not
this little
right.
highlight here.
Yeah, this is the shaded one.
Was
problem
it ever
is-
dedicated? Do we know,
Yeah.
and was it accepted and it's,
No, but-
or was it just our piece of property?
It's our
Okay.
piece of property.
There's no
problem
separate tax
is-
lot though.
What's that?
There's no separate tax lot. It's part of the right of way?
Correct, it's just part of the right of way, and it dead ends into
Where are
into
you
this
getting the
property
map that
owner's,
I'm not-
Yeah, 'cause you didn't-
So-
property owner's driveway.
So if we were to vacate it, it would be,
Who would plow it and
it
maintain
would
it?
split between the adjoining property owners.
The property owners that really need it are this property and this property, this property
It's
does
lot
not.
12 and 13.
This property does not need it, although we would have to give them first right of
An easement,
refusal because
right.
this property abuts it. This
Well,
ju-
they have access from Sherwood
Correct,
though.
their driveway is literally right here.
Right.
There's
So right now, that's a public street.
But,
Right here's the public street. and
right, it's a public street, but we're talking about just this piece right here.
Correct, it's only 15 foot wide and it's 70 foot long.
So this property has access from Angle.
No, this
No.
property, no, this
No?
property has access right from here, as does this property. These two properties need this.
But this is Angle right here.
That's correct.
But they have access from
They
Angle.
do not have
There are no
access to their
driveways there.
There's no
driveways.
driveways, but
Correct.
they're-
They're all in the rear of the property.
But they front,
They front angle.
front Angle, right.
The rear of the property faces Sherwood.
So what are they going to do? Well, no, well, you're saying that this person,
This person and this person, they both need to access.
12 and
their-
13 needed,
12 and
right?
13, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
But are you saying 11 would also have to get a piece of it? Is that what
no,
you're saying?
no,
No,
11 has its own front
On Sherwood Road.
yard on Sherwood.
But normally we would split it between the adjoining property owners. That's what we normally
Okay,
do.
so
But they
here's
don't
the
want to have
question.
to, because the person who adjoins can say, I don't want it.
It
and
doesn't
then-
want it.
Right, so then so who would be getting it? 13?
13 would get it.
But the
All right,
question
let's
is.
go
if
around the
it-
room. Max, go
Yeah,
ahead.
the question is, the way this property is located at whatever Penny Lane that they want to name it, if we give it to, let's say, 13, then 13 is going to basically control the entrance to the property 12, which is 77. So it would basically make
Easement.
a gatekeeper out of that property. If we give it to 12, and then they would control the entrance to 75. So
What
it
is
ha-
75?
But normally,
75.
but normally, Max,
12 and
the-
13 you mean?
Yeah, 12, 13, the lots,
it goes,
Yeah.
it splits between the adjoining property owners. Normally, it would be split between
which
12,
way?
not 12, but this is what, which lot?
That's why
That's
it's
in a
so
different block.
confusing.
It's in a different block.
okay.
Yeah, that's,
So what are the property,
what lot is that?
Bob, what are the- what are the,
192.
what do the property owners say about this? What do the two property owners want?
The one at,
Oh, Alan-
They want basically
Alan
the
is
town to
is
own it and
13,
clean it.
right?
That's the big problem.
Alan Williams
Taxes
is-
and they
is
don't wanna
13.
clean it, they don't wanna
77,
maintain it.
they've stated that they don't care if we vacate it and give it to them.
So Max, we're talking about the town vacating the property and
Right.
giving it to the property owners.
Okay, the letter that they wrote, which is the basically a request on file that they asked us to look at, is they said, okay, this is not ours. This is a property that the town owns. It doesn't get cleaned because people don't know that we have to call in and then they come to clean it. What they would like is to put it on the map as a part of a town and call it a certain name.
Penny
They
Lane.
want Penny Lane because Beatles is big over there. And be able to, this way, basically maintained by the town. And so they do not want to own that property for a specific reason. They don't want to maintain it, they don't want to take care of it, they don't want to have it.
They want to pay the
And that's
extra
taxes, and
It's not
that's
gonna- it's
the,
not gonna change
So
the
what-
taxes.
I don't believe we can actually take it and dedicate it as a street because it's non-conforming.
Non-conforming,
So we're-
It's
yeah.
non-conforming.
So, but that's the
you can't
request.
dedicate it as a
What,
street.
yeah, what they want doesn't necessarily mean it's what they can
Possible.
legally
So,
have.
so we're,
Absolutely.
so we're in this
Understand.
limbo here.
Yeah.
We could vacate.
Well, it's now up for discussion as to what you would like to do. If you'd like to vacate it, you can vacate it. If you don't want to vacate it, then.
So let's go back to my first question is, what is the opinion of the residents, of the two residents who use that as their access from their driveway?
We only have,
I
The
mean,
letter that we
this-
have in file,
Mindy Leibowitz is requesting that
we
Max's
rename
interpret, right, that's named Penny
That she
Lane
wants
and
to
Max's
rename.
interpretation is
yeah,
correct.
that's what they want.
She's 13, right?
Right, and so what does the resident at lot
What does
12
12 say?
say?
We haven't heard from them.
Do they know that we are considering this?
You
And
know, it would be vacated and it
So
would be,
is it not technically a public street right now?
it's a public piece of
Part of
property.
the
It's his
right of way.
property.
Public
It's not
property.
a
It's just a public piece of
It
property.
probably, it's not a street, public property.
And are we plowing it or only
Yeah, yeah, we do.
haphazardly?
No,
On
we
demand.
plow.
So I think we
But,
should,
but the problem is though, with dead ends into another person's driveway. That's.
Yeah, it's like a driveway, basically.
It is the driveway.
It
it
is.
is the driveway.
Yeah,
We basically own it, own their driveway.
right.
Where does,
yeah, but I see.
not the closer one to the street, where's their driveway end up?
You mean the
In
13?
reference to the other person's, the far driveway.
When you come in, about 15 feet, their driveway,
So like dead center of
He's
the
all right,
property.
somewhere
it's
over there.
perpendicular to
Right.
the 15-foot wide easement. The other house, it literally just
Leads into-
continues
Leads
straight
right
in,
into the-
and it leads right to his shed. He has a shed right at the end of his driveway there, so it T-bones into his shed.
Well, lot 12, the house faces angle, right?
Yes, both houses
Both
face-
houses facing,
Both
that's
houses
the
face that.
But this is-
driveway.
Right, this is the driveway for the back.
Correct.
So I think some I mean, unless anyone disagrees with me, I think some communication has to happen with the people who own lot 12, where they both need to be communicated with equally at the same time, and bring up Bob's point that we can't make it a real road.
Yeah.
And we can't put a sign up there if we wanted to,
No.
technically? Okay. And so there's two options, leave it the way it is and we make sure we keep plowing it judiciously, or do they want us to vacate it and give it to them?
And then they could sort it out amongst themselves?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Because
who's
basically
gonna
the-
communicate with that, the question?
Jewel will
One right
communicate.
has a little
Jewel
flag on it.
will discuss with Bob and Jewel will communicate. Does that make sense,
Alright.
Jewel?
That
Yeah,
makes sense.
absolutely.
Okay. Any other comments on this? Or Bob, you want to add anything else?
No, it's fine.
No,
If you're here, can we do the other stuff that he might be involved?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Bob, next.
Let's see, the municipal complex and Roosevelt Common signage. The municipal complex sign was blown down with the winds that we had about a week ago. Right now, we're in the process of getting quotations to make a sign. It was actually two signs that faced opposite each other, so you can see it coming east and west. They're very expensive at this point, and we're looking at alternatives.
What's
So,
very expensive, maybe?
like $7,000 for the sign.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty
For,
expensive
for one side or both sides?
for both of them.
Still a ton of money. for
Yeah, it's a
those
lot of
things.
money. So we're looking into, we've been pricing it, and we're just waiting for other prices and some alternatives.
How long was that sign up there for?
15, 16 years, I think.
Okay.
And the Roosevelt Common signage, that was brought up by, Karen Hughes, I believe, Julie?
Yes, the
She-
HPC,
Right,
yeah.
the HPC made a recommendation that we also, since we're buying a sign for the municipal complex, that we consider replacing the sign that, at the Roosevelt Common. With that, I would recommend that we just do that as a capital improvement in the 2018 budget.
2017? 18.
I recommend that we, leave the existing sign as is, and we budget for, next year for a sign.
That's
in
fine.
that- In that area.
Okay.
That's gonna be a big,
Before you go,
Go ahead,
there
Mike.
is another one which probably we will need your, it's number 3, Kane Correspondence,
Well,
the fence.
there's another
I'm
one
not done
before
with
that.
one.
So
Yeah.
let's,
Oh, you're not
yeah,
done
he's not
yet.
done with that
Okay.
yet.
All right, sorry,
It's
okay.
okay.
the holiday recycling collection. Right now, I'm looking into that, to make some changes for some of the holiday scheduling. Right now, my one big stumbling block is, the Friday before the Christmas weekend. I'm not sure if the facility that we bring our recycling to is going to be open and available to dump at. If they're not, then, that's gonna be a big, factor in what I do regarding the holiday schedule. I know there's concern that we try to, give the residents that get missed on certain holidays, another shot at it before the end of the month. The one month that looks promising is November, because I have a 5th week. It is very difficult with the holiday schedules, because, once you come back from the holiday, you're back on, another.
Well, I can't speak for the rest of the members of the governing body, but I received a fair amount of comments that after the Christmas holiday and after New Year's and after Thanksgiving, for whatever reason, their schedules fell. And I know we do training and we're controlling our overtime budgets, but
Mhm.
there was a lot of pushback from residents saying we had recyclables out for, double the cycle because we missed 2 cycles, so
Right.
we have to, okay, okay.
Even
good.
if we change the schedule,
Well, it's not so much changing the schedule, it's not having the time to change it too. I don't have any extra days on,
Yeah.
in the month. I physically don't have extra
Mark,
days.
Mark has a truck,
What's that?
Mark has
I
a
have a
truck.
truck.
Yeah.
Max and I'll help out.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we'll work on that one.
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
it's all being worked on.
Great.
right now.
Next, on your list.
For me, that's all I.
Maybe we can discuss the Kane Correspondence, it's a fence permit,
If you
and
wanna
it
do the,
it involves a right-of-way, and we might
Since
need some.
Bob's here,
Yeah.
Jules, does
since-
that make sense for you?
Yes, it does.
Let's do it.
We should do that. This,
Okay. Hey, Tony.
his input.
It's a very long correspondence if you read it.
Okay, Jewel, do you want to lead off on this one? And
Well, I'm gonna leave it to Bob,
That's
because he's
fine.
already
Yeah.
involved with it.
The situation that we have here is number 72 Churchill. I'm also, just keep in mind, I'm basically speaking on behalf of Bob Byrne. the
Understood.
Construction code official. 72 Churchill filed for a fence permit at the rear of his property, which abuts Mayflower and the King's property on Mayflower. number
you're the
14.
property owners?
We're the Kings.
Property owners.
Okay, great.
It's Pilgrim
Um,
Court, not Mayflower.
Okay, thank you for coming tonight.
On 72 Churchill property, we have an easement for storm sewer that runs parallel to the King's driveway. When the permit was originally requested by the owner of 72 Churchill, I made the recommendation to the building department that the fence be kept on the north side of the easement, which would allow us access to our storm drain system should any work need to be done. From what I can see in the file, originally that request was abided by, but since then, I believe he sent his the homeowner of 72 Churchill sent his fence contractor to resubmit the permit for the fence to be located on the property line, which would abut the Kane's driveway by, correct me if I'm wrong, it would give about 12, 14 inches between the edge of your driveway and the fence.
Not even.
No.
It'd be
Not
less.
even.
It would go right up to
Go right
the
up.
edge of the road. But it's not even, if I may.
Go ahead,
Okay.
take a minute, sure.
So, thank you. So this is my wife Pam, and we're the residents. And in all fairness, that's the gentleman, 72 Churchill right there. But we've been residents for a long time. This is our second home in Tenafly that we've owned since 2002. And this has been an ongoing concern since the day we bought the home. Nothing to do with the simmerings actually, or the easement. It was the access to the easement. When we bought the home, we had a driveway that extended over to the easement to allow the town and the DPW to gain access to it. It became clear later on that there was an issue regarding the property line, of which we all dealt with. But the issue here is that if a fence goes along the property line, the DPW is required to use our property to access the easement, because there's no access from Churchill. You have to access it from our driveway. So if there's a fence there, then it blocks the access. And as we detailed in the note, that we don't get the benefit of the easement. We've been working for the last, since 2002 with the town on a number of issues related to the DPW regarding this property, our property, meaning that the water that comes from Churchill from all the new construction actually went through our property and started flooding the streets. At our expense, we worked with the DPW, the town engineer, the water engineer, and cured that, and used that used our backyard to cure that. No problem. When my wife and I, worked with the DPW simultaneously when we built Griffin Park for the town at that point too. And we've had a great working relationship with them. So prior to Mr. Culver, Mr. Butel also had the same point of view when the fence first went up, that it should have been, that for it to continue, it needed a 10-foot on the north side. Mr. Culver agrees with that now as is, and we're just here to say that when you guys looked at this in September, which was brought to your attention, you didn't have all the facts at the time, that you looked at it as just replacing the fence as is. And what we're saying is that now that we have the facts, and it's not just replacing the fence, it's extending it quite a bit, and it's extending it across where the town needs the access to the easement. We're asking that the town considers this as, as taking the town professionals that you paid to come up with a conclusion and allow support and family.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Sure.
So is this an easement issue, access to the easement, or what's the crux of the problem here? The fence on the property line, or the easement issue, or?
Well, just access to the easement. That's the big
That's why
question.
we're involved.
That's why we're involved.
So, if the fence goes along the property line, you will not have access to the easement, is that correct?
Correct.
If the fence goes 10 feet beyond the property line,
Oh, the other way, Max.
The other way,
The-
within the property line.
whatever,
I know what
behind
you're
the
saying.
property, yeah,
To the
then
north.
the easement you'll have access.
Yes.
And that was the original proposal that came somehow to us. And what we have agreed is to allow the replacement of the fence without the knowledge that there is an additional part that was not built, but now is gonna be built, and that will block the access to the easement.
Yes,
Is that correct?
that's the gist of it.
So why couldn't we put up a fence that's like a rolling gate or something to give access when you need access to it? I mean, is
Well,
that
if
possible?
Again, if we was, okay, sure.
So there is an issue with the grade on our property. It's extremely steep. There are two issues. One is if you wanted to do some kind of opening, you would hit up against the grade. You couldn't freely swing.
It's very, very steep.
Okay,
It's very
okay.
steep. The other is the lower part of the fence that's existing now did have an opening which the town had to use, I guess, to access. The door must have come off or fallen off. It's been in disrepair for, I would say, about 6 years. And then even with that opening, several panels of the fence had to be taken down and also were left in complete disrepair. So the end of our street, Pilgrim Court, looks a shambles. It's
Okay.
just a mess.
And then one
And the
last thing
reason
is
they
the
took the
mayor came to
panels
look at
out
it.
is to get the access to the easement, or was just the fence was
The-
disrepair?
To
The
gain
lower-
access to the
To the
easement.
easement, the lower part is on the, it's-
There's a manhole and a pipe at the lower end as well, and that's where the fence was taken down at that.
Do you have access to the easement through the gate or the
Well, right
panels?
now, there's no fence at the end of Pilgrim. It's
The
been
other part-
removed,
So-
so I have complete access. And you go up a certain amount of feet, and then the fence stops, and then you have complete access.
Shaman,
I don't remember the original thing, but from what I'm reading,
right,
it seems that we agreed to replace the fence.
right, that we
And
agreed
that
as
we
the borough,
agreed as the
right.
borough that
No, no.
we could, no,
No?
is that not correct?
The
Then
borough
what,
has nothing to do with the fence replacement itself.
then how were we somehow
We got
they
involved
put it.
after the property owner filed a permit to install the fence. When that was filed, Mr. Byrne contacted me and advised me that this fence was, we had a request to install a fence, but we have an easement there. I went and I viewed the property, and I made my recommendation that if a fence does go up, I recommend that we put it, the homeowner place it behind the easement so we have full access to our easement.
that was the end of the
That
matter?
was the end of
Then
it.
how did the fence, how was it, now, am I understanding it
It
correct?
looks
That
like
the fence
another-
is not in the place you suggested it should be?
No,
Or
no,
am I
the
misunderstanding
fence
it?
the fence has not, the new fence has not been installed.
Okay.
But
Property
But
owner.
but your recommendation was the 10-foot.
Correct.
it seems that
And
there
that's-
is a second decision from the correspondence.
That's what I'm trying to
Yes,
understand.
it seemed that,
I remember this.
oh, good.
Okay,
Go
great.
ahead.
The way it first came
The
up.
short
and-
version, right?
Never ask a lawyer for a short version. The way it first was presented, because I was actually involved in this, and a question was put to me, when it first came before us. And I think it might have been the way that Peter explained it, was that the fence was going to go on to a right-of-way that we had. He didn't say it was an easement on, like a drainage easement.
It's a drainage.
So my initial response to was that, well, we do the normal thing we do, where we'd have to hold harmless, from the property owner, and that we'd not be responsible, they'd be responsible for it. Subsequently, I heard from the mayor, I guess someone had asked, now wait a minute, why are we doing hold harmless? And they said, oh no, it's a drainage easement we have. And this fence was gonna go on to the drainage easement. I changed it, I said, well, if it's the property owner's property and we just have an easement on it, as long as there's no problem with access for what we need the easement for, I said, I don't see a problem with it. But again, I wasn't aware of any other problems. And so that was the answer I gave, and it sort of just died there, I think last fall sometime. And I had heard nothing at all about it until this most recent correspondence. So again, take my original advice, which I think there's a link in the correspondence, was I was thinking that it was an encroachment onto our right-of-way, which we would normally have hold harmless for.
That's a different
That's a
matter.
different, that's not really, I didn't really understand, because the way it was explained was as if they were encroaching on our right-of-way. That's not it. It's an easement that we have on someone's property for the purposes of our sanitary sewer, or is it storm sewer? So, at that point, I said, well, no, we wouldn't need a hold harmless. We would just need someone to acknowledge that if we have to remove that fence in order to get to our easement, then we're not responsible for the cost of it, and they have to make sure we have access. Subsequent to that, I then saw, this letter indicating there's some other issues. So now we're addressing it from the beginning again.
So Mark, can we also hear from
Yes,
the,
so where are we now? And I'm gonna just correct my words if I'm wrong. You've applied to put the fence on the property line.
Yes.
Okay. So is that, what has Bob Burns said to that?
I have no idea.
Okay, so what's your version?
This is a long saga. I brought a map in case anybody
Not to be
wants
rude, but
look
as
at
I
it.
said to the attorney.
That'd actually be helpful, because I
It
don't
goes
know
back,
what the raising
our,
is.
our only goal is to mark the low limit of our property and protect.
Which is where? Here?
Which is, here. It's over here. And if we look at it this way here, this is Pilgrim Court, this is our property. We have already, we discovered about 10 years ago there was an encroachment on our property for two property owners, one on this side of Pilgrim and one on the Kane side of Pilgrim.
Okay.
And there's a long story behind that, but finally it turned out also that the Kanes had a driveway built over the easement, and the driveway covered the easement and onto our property. So a lot of the dispute had to do with this driveway. That driveway, after a long time, was remedied, and the Kanes removed the driveway to remove the encroachment. Now, while that happened, we had built a wood fence from here across Pilgrim Court and halfway up the Kanes' property. The reason we stopped the fence at that time, we had a permit, is because we couldn't go any further because there was a driveway there. The only way we could have built the fence is to dig holes in the driveway, and we weren't about to do that. So we negotiated this over a long period of time. It was only after the Kanes removed the driveway that we asked the fence person to continue the fence and mark that. It was at that point that we applied, now we heard about the hold harmless through Mayor Rustin. We agreed to do that. We agreed anything to, we have no problem, we have well, let me, one other thing. At that point, the Kanes are absolutely right. The fence was in a state of disrepair. We asked Demick Fence to replace the whole fence, to take down the old wood fence, to create another access here on Pilgrim Court, and to run it up our entire property line along the same line that it existed here. Up to the storm sewer, but not at the storm sewer. We could build the fence in any way that provides access, whether it's a rolling fence or holes in the fence or any other way. There's access through Pilgrim Court, there's access to our property. We want to continue the existing, replace it, and continue it up the line.
Okay, why don't you pass this to everyone so they can see.
So,
what the area is.
just to understand, the issue
Thank you.
of the encroachment has been
Resolved.
corrected.
Yes. Well,
And
they have, the Kanes have removed their driveway.
Yeah,
These are
and what you are
contour
trying
lines
to
here.
do is
That's kind of steep.
mark your property line, not to
Right.
have any
Sure,
other
sure.
issues ever.
Absolutely.
That's the issue.
Yes, it's already
Similar.
marked for the neighbor and half of the Kanes property.
No, you
Yeah,
want to put it on the
and
line.
now,
What was the
you are
recommendation
having a
of the-
problem
But the 10 feet.
by having
That's the
a fence
I think that,
next to your
um,
property.
No,
Bob
the
Byrne was
issue
saying,
is
keep it,
the acts
keep it this
that
way,
we've
keep it along
already
this
worked
dotted
with
line,
the
So-
town
so that
on the
we have
water
access
issue.
from this
is
side,
a
because
town
there's a
sewer
steep slope here.
that needs to be accessed. We've been good
To
citizens
get
of the
into
town.
the
We
dig,
don't
if you
have
need
the
to dig,
easement on our
or,
property. But we let the town use our property to maintain it, to
These are
drive their
two
trucks up,
contour lines.
to do
That's
whatever work
56
needs to be
feet.
done.
and this is
We
26,
just do that
that's a
because that's
25
what
foot.
citizens of the
Okay, so
town
Pam,
do.
just to understand,
Just
if
10 foot, that's
the-
The
about,
fence is here.
right.
Is
DPW
this
It's
what-
there already, see,
finds
see
a
the fence
way to
posts?
be able to
These are the
access
fence posts
the
right here, so
easement.
it stops here.
And he works with a
Bob
fence
wants them to go
manufacturer
further
to
this
be
way.
able to make sure that the
I'm still
access
not
is
clear
done.
about this 10-foot
What
line.
then is your objection?
Bob Byrne
Our
wants it over here.
objection is that
All right, well, let's see.
why are we spending, if we have professionals in the town that make a recommendation
Yeah,
and do the research and feel that something is to the benefit of the town,
mhm.
why are we questioning that as a town? Why are
Well,
we
so
doing that?
Madge,
And
before-
secondly, that why are we creating a scenario that if there is an issue, that something needs to be taken down, and then we have an eyesore right at our property line, we have no recourse to get it fixed. We know that the existing fence has been in disrepair for many, many years, and then we're gonna be sitting here again together.
Okay, so
And then
we
why are
understand.
we
Hold on a
setting up a
second.
precedent for that?
Go ahead,
So
Mike.
before we get into answering that question, valid question, where are we with the zoning issues and Bob's approval or denial
I
of?
have no
The new
idea.
fence.
You'd
It's
have
not
to
really a
ask Bob.
zoning issue.
So, but we still don't know whether he's denied it or approved it
I
yet.
believe, I'm sorry, I believe it's been denied recently. I just received this notice. I've not seen the correspondence, and I've just received this notice. It was issued on Friday, I received it yesterday, which looks like a denial.
Can I point out one other thing too? The encroachment of the driveway that it
That's right.
was there from when the house was built in 1962. We have all the paperwork to prove that if you want to see it.
No, we
It's been there
believe
for- We didn't.
Yeah, that's a private
Yeah,
matter.
Okay.
we have no
We're
problem,
not
we believe you are
creating
good
that.
neighbors.
Yes.
We're not creating.
Max,
No, yeah.
we need to have a conversation with Bob Burns, right? He denied this, we need to have an understanding of the reasons why he denied it, what the rules are, what the regulations are. You know, these residents have a very valid point, but if this resident has a right to put a fence there,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to have another conversation about this and potential solutions. So I think, Jewel, perhaps you have a conversation with Bob, and then we take it up at the next meeting based on the results of that. And I think he should put his, put his
Recommendation in
thinking
writing.
cap on and make some recommendations for some sort of solution that could potentially give everyone a little bit of something, but not everything.
I'm sorry, what
Go
is,
ahead.
I think one of the issues is, Mr. Simri,
Yes.
I guess, in terms of a solution, or I guess really one of the key points is, are you willing to consider any location other than the property line?
No.
That's
Okay,
where we are.
Okay, so we need some
It's our
Well, the next
property
question
line.
is
We
whether or
wanna-
not-
We want to replace the fence. The fence has been in disrepair. We've been trying, the latest round started when we made an application to take down the old fence,
Okay.
replace the fence, and to take it up to the property line.
Okay,
Just two other things. The driveway was not there since 1962. It was expanded either when you bought the property or sometime after. And the final point is, I'm also a good citizen, and I've been here not since 2000, but since 1986.
no one's questioning anyone's,
No
But
question.
Good
just for
citizen.
fairness,
Okay.
I have the survey that shows it's been there.
I understand, but we need to, I appreciate that, but we need to have the construction building official look at this so we completely understand what the
Yeah.
regulations are.
And if you
and
want to
what our
come to the
options are.
next meeting, we
Yeah.
can make a decision that now more knowledgeable.
Okay?
So that would be when?
21st?
21st.
21st, right? We don't have enough information and details to understand.
We're gonna ask the
Consequences of
official to come
suggestions.
to the
Yeah.
meeting too.
Okay.
Now, the
Okay.
only confusing part, and I checked this with Lindsay, there are two separate actions. One is the hearing on the citizen's letter, on the Kane's letter. The other is the application on the fence. So do I need to file anything?
I don't think you need to file anything because the application for the fence stands on its own.
Right.
The issue here is that the borough has that, we have an easement for the storm sewer, and really it comes down to mayor and council approval for something to be placed actually on an easement. So from a zoning perspective, don't think there's any issue at all. The fence is in compliance, assuming that it can be placed on easement, so it really
Yeah.
becomes a mayor and
As long
council.
as 45%.
I think we'll find a solution, but it says here there's 20 days to appeal this denial. So is there any action
If you're gonna
that
come
I
to the
need to
This will
take?
be within,
It's not a zoning issue, though, so.
No, it's not
It just
zoning.
says 20 days,
Right.
so.
That's because
That's for
that's a
any denial.
pre-printed
That's
denial.
any
right?
denial.
If you're
But-
gonna be
but it'll
here
be
in
within
2
the
weeks,
20
I'll be here
days.
till-
we'll be within the 20 days.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to,
Can't we waive the
Thank
20
you.
days amongst us?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, we can. I'm sure that can be
It's not really a
extended.
zoning issue. Well, he says non-compliance, I don't know what 802.18 is.
Right, those are the things I'll get the details.
75,
for
hold
you.
it, it says 4 foot 75% open fence permitted in front yard, 6 foot.
I think we need to.
Okay.
I'd have to
Yeah,
ask
because
Bob
it
Yeah.
doesn't,
what the
right.
potential, the issue is from zoning
Yeah,
perspective.
let me know about, I mean, I had very little time to deal with this. I just received it yesterday, as you know.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that you only have the 20 days to file the appeal if it's a zoning issue. You know, the construction official said, I'm denying it because of such and such, you could appeal to the Board of Adjustment. But I'm not
Can't
aware
we
of a
decide
zoning
to
issue.
stay that if we choose, if we're amongst?
We don't, because, no,
Because
that's
it's a
not,
zoning issue.
that's a zoning issue,
Okay.
that's, doesn't fall within our
Okay.
jurisdiction. If it's just with respect to the easement, yeah, we can. But it's not even 20 days.
Right, right.
Well,
There's no-
21st
so
will
we're
be
fine.
close to that, but then I'll wait till the 21st.
Okay, thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
in. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Before we go,
They'll be
I'm
returning
actually the other resident.
February 21st.
Okay,
Can I take 2 minutes?
sure, this isn't really public comment time, but since it's,
I mean, it's my,
go ahead.
Is it on the agenda?
the same topic.
Oh, same topic, okay.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure that also we're informed. I live at 15 Pilgrim, which is the end right across McCain. I've been living there about 4 years, and our big concern also is the fence happens to be all the way at the end of the property. I don't mind the fence, but it's in complete disrepair even on our side, and the entire area there is 4 or 5 trees that are fallen over. One near, the power line holding it up. It's the bottom of the property, which is easy to put a fence to mark your line, but much more difficult to maintain for us, who it's our front of our house. Our kids play right near that fence that's wobbly, that for at least 4 years we've been living there, hasn't been looked at. And, all the trees, and I wonder what concerns I would have if we put another one, again, to do the same thing. The trees that are there, the easements that's there, also the sewer that's at the bottom. Just want to make sure that whatever solution we come also addresses maintaining that. It's not the back of my house, it's the front of my house.
Okay.
And it should just be on that topic for,
Would you come also next meeting?
yes. I
Sure,
mean,
please.
Thank you. Bob Burns has his work cut out for him.
Yes, he does.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, Bob, any more topics for you?
Topics have all been covered, I believe.
You're covered? And you're free to go. So Jewel, thanks very much.
Have a good night.
And we
Fiber
now,
sharing agreement?
well, if we can go back to the financial
Okay, that's fine.
municipal advisor, Jason Capizzi is here.
Hi, Jason.
Hello.
Hey, Mr.
Come up, take a seat right here.
Thanks. Thank you. Okay, so.
Both of
we're-
you.
Both of us. So this is Jason Capizzi, for those of you that don't know him, he's our bond counsel. Okay. So we're here to discuss the recommendation by bond counsel and the auditors to hire a municipal advisor to review our debt structure. And then you received my packet. So
Yes.
Jason will explain why the recommendation needs to be considered.
So, municipal advisor is a professional now that was created and defined under the Dodd-Frank Act, which we know is the Fed's response to the economic crisis in Wall Street. And part of Dodd-Frank created now this municipal advisor, and it is a professional that's charged with a fiduciary duty to you, the issuer, relating to financial advice. Prior to this, you would get such financial advice from your bond counsel and from your auditor together. Now the Fed said, unless you are registered and you take these different certification classes, get licensed and whatnot, you're in violation of the law if you were to continue to do that. So if you were not to engage the service of a municipal advisor, I wouldn't be able to speak freely with you on those matters that we used to. If you do engage one, then everybody can continue to give you the service and their opinions as we used to. So what is the consequence of this? It has just made the transaction for small issuers more expensive. They're adding on to the bureaucracy, and these municipal advisors now are really trying to find their way and define the role that they play. From our perspective, it's my legal advice that we recommend that you engage one, because again, it just allows complete candidness from your professionals, and just no opportunity for.
So they basically are looking for our benefit to make sure that when we issue a bond, the bond is the best interest that we can get, and they're basically bond issuers not overcharging us and stuff like that. That's the theoretical function
Yes.
of the municipal advisor, correct?
Yes. So such things that fall into financial advice would be, we're getting ready for a bond sale
Yeah.
ourselves, right? Say it's a $2 million bond, and we want to go out 5 years. What would I do? I'd say divide 2 million by 5, and there's your maturity schedule. They'll look and they'll say, well, actually, for this type of credit, and somebody else, a similar credit sold something, and the market really only wants like 100,000 first year, and then maybe 350, and they'll structure it. They'll make their recommendation and structure in a way that, is in your best interest. Or if you were doing a negotiated sale, like when we do a refunding, the refinances, you're selecting an underwriter. The underwriter, because of federal regs, they always give you a letter that says, hey, we're nice people, but we're not necessarily working in your best interests. The municipal advisor would be a check on them as far as how they're pricing your bonds and go out and make a recommendation or try and tweak whatever the underwriter is suggesting. So those are the types of things. Overall, too, they would be able to suggest how large of a bond sale should we have at this time. Should you stay in notes, longer? From my perspective, the law allows you to stay in notes for 10 years, 5 months, 1 day. Why not? Do it. But from a financial perspective, they may say, well, rates have never been better, and we think it's going to get worse. So this works in with your overall finance plan.
Lock them in for as long as you can.
Yeah.
So are we required by law to hire one?
No, not yet. It seems like it may be going there, but now with the new administration too, and they're talking about undoing Dodd-Frank.
I was just thinking of that. What happens then?
So since I've become involved in public finance, as I've said from day one, it's a complete new ballgame. So everything is constantly evolving, and that's where we are today. Right now, they created this position. It's not required by law that you have one. But for those reasons, it's legal advice, it's advisable, but
So
not
what's
necessary.
your opinion? Should we hire one or not?
My recommendation is to engage one.
Yes.
However, again, really what it does is it gives the borough, it gives the CFO comfort in making, certain decisions related to rates and where the market may be going.
And right
And
now,
he cannot recommend not to hire one. Legally, he cannot recommend not to hire one.
Well,
I'm sure he could give us advice
well-
as he,
What's the,
right now we
go ahead,
have,
Susan.
right now we
Wait,
have
Susan.
6.1 million in notes.
Yeah.
And of those notes, there's a principal payment due because it's the 3rd anniversary of a period of 10 years that you could roll, but on the 3rd anniversary, you have to make a payment on the note. So we have about an $86,000 principal payment coming due in May on this note, unless we decide to bond. We also have another 2.4 million that we are going to have to do a ban on, which was on a capital ordinance we did last year, that we adopted last year. So there's a lot on the plate. It could be either 6.1 million, it could be 8.5 million, and we have to, it's really a good time to analyze our debt.
So what's your opinion?
My opinion is you only have to do this once probably in the next few years. We have our debt looked at now because the interest rates were at an all-time low and they have been creeping up a little bit. And,
In March,
we
they're
need
gonna
to
go
make
up
a
again.
decision on whether or not do we want to pay this principal payment, roll the note. Do we want to do, we were talking about, we might ban for the 2.4 million. Paul Lurch, our auditors, have advised that they also recommend a municipal advisor at this point in time. And he structured his analysis looking at the 6.1 million and going to the 8.5. They'll do it, basically says it makes sense right now to do this and really review.
All right, so
What's the money?
Bill, you want to weigh in?
Well, I just wanted to know, what's the typical type of engagement? Is it on a transactional basis? Do you have,
Year.
or it's for a
Certain-
full year?
Yeah.
Yeah, and certain clients have them engaged on an annual basis, just as, their normal professionals.
What-
Others, are smaller issuers
What
are we
as
talking
needed as they
about?
come up.
I mean, we're small.
We're
I
small.
mean, do we need to
Why do we need them
engage
for the
them
whole
on
year?
an annual basis, or
Well, it's not
can you do it
really
on
one year.
transactional?
There's only gonna be
What to say?
one sale.
One.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
why
So
would
why not
you hire somebody for a
transactional?
year and you know,
That's
when you can
just
have
the
someone
way they're-
analyze a particular transaction.
So has everyone read the fee structures?
No.
So back in this packet is it?
Yes, I was, and I was
Yeah,
just
so-
wanted to, when
Go
you
ahead.
About 10,000, some of them came in a little higher, most of them came in lower than 10,000.
That's for like retaining them for the year?
Yeah, some of them are based, well, it's a year,
It's
it's for
up to
this
the
year,
bond
you
amount.
print it for the year, but it's based on the amount of the sale, it's like
Mm.
$1 per
Oh,
thousand,
okay,
you know, and, you know, some of them had different prices for bonds versus notes. But
But-
basically, I'll give you an example, there was 4 proposals that were looked at, and they ranged from 7,500 to 12,500. Now, that was for bonds, and for the notes, they were from 8,500 to 12,500.
Do we have to, that means that if you want to have them for both, it's gonna be double? I mean, the sum
Well,
of
it
them?
depends on what transaction you do. If we bond for everything, then it's gonna be for bonds. If you take some notes out,
But how do we know?
So Max,
that's
if
why
you-
the analysis has to be.
But then-
right, if you take a look at the rates here, it's take a look at, so the cost of issuing for a bond is up to 15 million, 9,000 for notes, 3,500, so there's lots of details.
Yeah.
It's not simply double.
No, what I'm saying is, he will look at, theoretically, he will look at the overall structure of our notes, bonds, and everything else, and is gonna say, okay, based on my opinion, and he has to be has a fiduciary duty, so he
Or
has
she.
to, he or she, her.
Thank you, Shama.
Her, whatever. All right, we'll say you should get 5 million worth of notes and 10 million worth of bonds. Then I was asking the question, is that gonna be, we have to pay $7,000 based on the bond request and $8,000 based on the notes, or there will basically be half of each?
I think the note sale is separate from the bond sale.
Correct.
So what's the answer?
The answer
The
is,
answer is you have to pay, you do a
For-
bond, you do a bond sale, you pay for a bond sale, you do a note.
But you say it's annual, it's not per
Well,
sale.
the agreement with the party would be, and for this year, you do a resolution, appoint them for this year, and the transaction would be done, for us, it would be done in May, before our ban
So
comes in.
if we did 3 transactions, this is theoretical.
Well, we could,
No, I'm just saying,
Oh.
if we hired somebody for this year, and we had 3 transactions, then they would be paid separately for each transaction, right?
What they get
it's
the
based
appointment.
on the amount, yeah, they get you.
They get like a fee for the year, and then the rest is based
No,
on.
no,
so
no,
here's,
no,
so
yeah.
keep in mind, we don't issue bonds and notes every week.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not
No,
like
I
paying
know,
the
I'm just
bills.
trying to understand how this
So we
works.
appoint the company,
For 1
when we
year,
need them, we pay
for
them.
this
Right.
year. And we know,
Right.
Jason
Right.
and I,
Yeah,
we
there's no
know
retainer.
It's not like
There's no
they're-
retainer,
No,
okay,
it's a
this is what I was
transactional
looking
cost.
for.
Right.
that word.
It's
So there's
Okay.
2 questions,
Yeah.
just for a second.
Yeah, go.
There's 2 questions we have is, let's go around the table, do we want to do this? And if we do, the second question is, how do we put the wheels into motion?
Yeah.
So Max, what's your opinion?
Yes, so,
I'm sorry, I should have started with Sean.
Ms. Shama.
You missed me.
I-
You're not used to me
I'm so
anymore.
used to now starting with Max. So Shama, what's your view?
I can't pretend I know anything about this, but I will say I will rely on Susan's guidance on that. So if she thinks we should, I would support it then.
Max?
Okay, so I have a few questions so I can make up my mind. One of your projections over here showing that our bonds will increase from the existing 5 million to about almost, what is it? 17. Okay, from 8.25 millions, it's gonna go up to 26 million if we, in the existing structure, from now to 2028. It's in the page 4 of your presentation. Okay, I'm trying to,
Well,
because
it's,
this was gonna be,
Allergies.
yeah, so it's a lot of money, part of that, and there is something I'm sure you looked at when you presented that to say that that's gonna be our debt.
Oh, this is it. That's our debt service schedule.
Yeah, I mean, it goes up from 8.526 million to 26
This is
million.
proposed.
Yeah, proposed, I'm trying to, because each one of them is gonna be a fee.
Yeah.
Max, keep
You
in
just
mind, that's,
understand that the
a
notes
lot of
are
this
already out
detail,
there.
we really need the auditor here to go
Yeah.
over that
Yeah.
aspect
I'm
of
sure
it.
that somebody went over this.
No, the
So-
conversation is
Right.
scheduled for the 21st. This is not a decision about the debt.
No, but
This is strictly whether or not we want to
it's
hire.
related to that, because based on what we have, we will pay the fee. And what I'm really, so to go back to why I was coming here, if we're gonna increase the debt from 8 million to 26 million, absolutely, we should get an advisor to tell us if that's the right
Is
thing.
he seeing this?
Yeah, but that's not
Yeah.
what
Right.
we're talking
The debt-
about.
The debt
Right.
service
The
decreases.
scenarios aren't
That's not-
selected.
right.
They're-
Right. That's the whole point, is we don't know the scenarios.
Well,
Then we need an advisor to tell us what we should
So
do.
you
And
vote
that's all
yes
we're
on it.
recommending.
Okay, next, Paul,
See?
thank you, Max.
Thank you, Max.
Good point.
Max, and there's also different time
Yeah.
periods of maturity as well.
Yeah, but it's,
This debt is going down though, based
Right.
on this schedule.
Down to 17 or 18 million, right?
Well, no,
no,
overall debt, I shouldn't say that the debt service payments are going down. He analyzed it based on the
based on,
proposed amount
Okay.
at 12 years at 2.75%. So you have to think about the long-term debt versus rolling our notes. Every time we roll a note for a year, if the interest rates go up, it could end up being more than the 2.75. This is what he's proposing
that's where I
now.
think that, and then that's exactly
The
why I
notes
think
can be
That's
that's
why
rolled
we
at
need the advisor.
yeah, that's why we.
Paul,
need
your
advisors.
thoughts?
So right now.
I'm
what
in
we get-
agreement. I think it'll help Susan, and fees seem to be in line with complexity of transactions, so.
Thank you. Dan,
Yeah. Do it.
Tony?
Abstain.
Okay, I agree, so we're gonna do this.
We're
Okay,
done.
so now we should I tell them who I'm thinking of? The party that I would select, the company would be NW. So, and Jason's dealt with them before, he's also dealt with,
Yeah, I dealt with all four firms that have submitted proposals. They are all registered independent municipal advisors under federal law, so they can all get it done. So it depends on who your preference is.
so
Hopefully,
it was funny, cause I picked NW, then GCM, and we were in line basically with the same things.
Yes, of
Same
course I have
parties.
Okay. Is everyone good going with Susan's
Susan,
recommendation?
what we need from them when they come on board, to give us an analysis how we save more than how much we pay them.
Well, that's what they do afterwards.
Yes, right,
They
that's
have to
it.
put
We
them
save
on
you
board.
$75,000.
So now we would
After we pay
request
the-
That's
that
right.
Howard Mackey, he's a principal there, that he would come and
Good.
meet with us on the 21st. You will be there and the auditors will be
All
there
right.
Okay,
on at the next
so
meeting.
Susan and Jewel, do you need any other further authorization or resolution or anything from
No.
us? You're good to go?
We're good to go.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in this evening.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
Nice seeing you all again,
Yeah.
and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was very good.
Yeah, that worked out well.
Yeah. Okay, fiber sharing agreement.
Ah, yes.
What? It's really looking, because you could keep rolling these data.
Did everyone get a chance to read the material?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on a question. Dan, you have a question?
We have a member of the environmental committee, but since it's getting later, I told him it would be around 8. Can he speak the public comment part?
Speak now?
Yeah.
How does everyone else feel about that?
Oh, it's
He's
Okay.
got homework to do.
Okay, you got homework, that's important.
Well, right.
Thank you.
Stand up and tell us your name, please.
Okay, so my name is Peter Christakos, and I am from the high school. I'm a senior, representing the high school green team. And we had an idea that we wanted to propose of eliminating the use of plastic bags around the town. Perhaps starting with the major shops, the most frequently visited shops, and then going from there, and perhaps including some consumer incentives for people to use paper bags or reusable bags. And for example, when at Stop and Shop, we noticed that they have a price that people can, like a small price for people to buy reusable bags instead of getting the plastic bags that they have there. And we thought that it's better maybe to have a reward for bringing some like a reusable bag instead of having to pay for one. So maybe that would be more like a productive way of reusing, eliminating the use of plastic bags, And yeah, that's basically just
The reward, what
Rough
kind
plan.
of reward are you
What do you
thinking?
do?
kind of a small financial reward, like I don't know, 20 cents or something. I don't know the exact value of it, but
You know,
something that would be.
one idea which might help, and I know it would work with me, if the store would put a sign up saying, did you remember to bring your bag? Because those bags are sitting in your car, you always forget to take them out, and by the time you've shopped, it's too late. So a little reminder like that, I'd go back and pull those bags out of the car, otherwise I'll be carrying plastic bags.
Max?
Yesterday, a lady came to me exactly to talk about the same thing, and here is what she was saying, because it's safe. She was saying that would be good for us as a town to go and talk to, for example, Stop and Shop and so, that everybody that buys over, let's say, $30 worth of something, then they get a reusable bag as part of that. So that, and then she would go and talk to all like the rental agencies, the real estate, to give out as a gift instead of giving out those plastic bags, but to give them reusable bags because that's everything. And the big stores can cooperate. So this is becoming extremely, I should not say hot because hot is, it's very important for everybody. So
It's a good
how
idea.
can we,
I'm glad you're doing
you
it.
know, to kind of start moving on that direction? What's the process? That's the whole idea now.
Environmental Commission.
Well,
You know,
yeah, I was gonna say, like typically, I mean, yes, you can approach our local Stop and Shop, but keep in mind that they're part of a major corporation, so that's not a decision that they can make.
No, they can't.
They,
It's,
they,
those
they
are
already,
franchises.
they already sell, just for a nominal fee of 10 cents, a reusable bag that's very nice and, you know, in the event that you forget or just for whatever reason haven't had them at all.
you know.
They also sell reusable bags for upwards of, I think, $1.99 as well, which are very nice and attractive and have designs. They don't seem to be poised to give things away.
But
They'll
let's-
sell it for a nominal fee.
So, you know, the borough, we pay for all the plastic recycling containers that go in front of everyone's house.
Exactly.
It's not a much of a far stretch if we paid for, or talked about paying for bags
Reusable
that
bags.
people use over and over again, because we already do that. And then the
Yeah,
question
Why
is-
not?
But
the
how are
question-
you,
Trying to
but
get.
how are you connecting it to
Right.
the
Oh, I-
store?
I'm not claiming to have all the
Yeah.
answers, I'm just
No, it's-
suggesting.
it's
Stop,
good.
Stop and Shop used to, if you used one of their bags, they take 5 cents,
Right.
Yeah.
every bag is 5 cents. So, you know, if you have 10 bags, it's, you know,
50
you're getting
cents.
50 cents off in your grocery bill.
Yeah, so.
Then all of a sudden, they stopped it.
They stopped that.
Yeah, we can start
I guess
this
people were
Well,
not,
conversation.
because
because
people-
50 cents
because
is not an
people were
incentive,
responding.
that's the problem.
No, I have a question, is, if we wanted to, could we have an ordinance against plastic bags, or is that, has to be a statewide issue?
Haven't towns done that? I remember reading someplace.
New York's ahead of us.
I know that,
What did you
that
say?
some towns
City,
have
the
tried to.
city has one on the books, but
New York City?
they're.
Oh, good luck with that.
Yeah,
They
it's
were
hard to
sued.
enforce that level.
Yeah.
They'll try and
That's
force
the
it
problem.
We'll
back.
have to wait for public
That's the
comment, we don't wanna
problem.
get into a
I
whole,
thought we're in the middle of a public comment.
okay, what did you wanna say?
The businesses theoretically have supported us a lot. At community night, we give out a lot of bags to encourage this. The Environmental Commission has solicited us to put up in the businesses, please bring your bags. We are at a point where people are pushing back that they want the plastic bags for when they are carrying, for lack of a better term, goopy products, that they do not want staining their nice bags. They want the plastic bags to be, so they can take them home and use them for their
Right.
pets. They
Reusable.
line their small trash cans.
Mm.
They are getting recycled. I have heard that in New York City, and people
They're not
do
getting
get-
recycled in
Yeah.
Tenafly.
No, in
these
Tenafly,
towns.
you-
They're
we don't.
recycled as in reused for
Oh.
another purpose,
Oh.
as in a pooper scooper bag.
Okay.
Is
Yeah.
a very
Trash.
popular use.
But what's
It's
the
very
action?
commendable.
What's the action we need to
I think we should,
go
We should
to?
look into that, I like your idea.
yeah, we pay for the plastic
Yeah.
pails already.
Right.
Yeah, no,
Maybe we
I
need to
like
look
your
into that.
idea.
Bob,
Go
Bob
ahead.
has made for, what's that thing? Community night. I don't know how many he has left or how many he makes per year, like reusable bags. Well, we can always ask them.
A community night, you're giving them out already, from Alma Bank, from
free.
TD Bank,
Yeah.
they're giving out tons
TD
of
The
stuff.
Bank.
whole
Say
thing
Tenafly on it.
is the use of them.
So,
People probably have
so
statues of
Dan,
them.
Dan,
Yeah.
can the environmental commission come back with some real solid
Yep,
recommendations
that's
on
where
things
they're
we
at
can
right
do?
now. That's
Okay.
where
So
they're
it's
at.
very commendable, thank you for coming
Thank
tonight.
you.
While he's
Thank
here,
you.
Yeah.
while he's here, for a little shout out, he was the reason Tenafly High School has the reusable water fountains.
Oh, very nice.
Very
Good
nice.
job.
They were
Very
featured in the
nice.
newsletter.
Well, that's a good thing.
Good
That's
job.
great.
How many
Amen.
bottles saved are you at right now?
Sorry?
How many bottles saved are you at?
More than 2,000.
Good.
Bravo.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, thank you for coming this evening.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good night,
All right.
Peter.
Okay.
Now we had fiber sharing.
Fiber sharing.
Yes. Essentially, this is a part of a larger project that we've been talking about off and on for a little over a year now. Just to remind you, this basically all stems from the major overhaul that we're doing currently of the communications systems, radio communications for police and fire. Police is going to be going with the state, but we started out initially looking for one solution, and that was what our needs assessment taught us, is that we actually had two solutions that we had to come up with. So this is fiber optic cable that would be used, that's presently owned by the board, that would be used towards helping us to implement the solution that was developed for the fire radio communications. And I hope I've explained it clearly enough, but as you can see, the bottom line here is that the board is poised to help us with this shared service agreement save upwards of $187,000 in the first year. It doesn't mean that we never have to do any outlay, but they're helping us to defer that cost for at least 3 years. It would need to be part of our future planning for capital, but it brings the cost of the initial implementation down considerably. The board has made it quite clear, as you
Yes.
heard and as Dan heard in the joint use meeting, they are not charging us for the use of the fiber. The only thing that they asked of the borough is that we pay the cost of the work that their attorney did, because their attorney is not on retainer. They pay for each individual transaction. So they asked that we would pay the cost of preparing the agreement, and they would be prepared to approve it at their their board meeting on February 14th.
How about sharing the cost of the legal work rather than we pay the full cost?
We don't pay the cost.
We're not
only pay
paying
the legal.
anything for the fiber optic cable.
We don't pay anything.
But we are paying for the legal.
Yeah, which
Right, but
is,
the fiber
It's-
optic
it's-
cable would
yeah.
cost about $187,000.
All right.
Their legal
I'm penny
fees will-
pinching.
It's under a
Yes,
thousand.
yes.
yeah.
Well, lawyer's fees might be more than that.
Right.
Can I ask a question? please?
Sure.
Of course, ma'am.
Good question.
Tony, you
What's
wanna
the
trade
connection? Where is it connecting? It's a bit unclear. It says from the Stillman School to where?
Stillman School to the JCC.
That's where that's gonna be the fiber that we will be sharing?
It's gonna be from Knickerbocker Convent to Stillman. It's going to be
Nicholas,
from the Nature Center to Mom School, and from the JCC to, let's say Mom School, because I'm
Okay.
trying to remember the other location.
And those cables exist already, and we're
No.
gonna have a share?
They
Or you're gonna pull-
partially exist.
And they're gonna pull the
exist.
other cable by them at their own expense?
So what we talked about this at the joint use meeting, I could be off on the number, but I believe there's going to be ultimately 6 cables there, I think he said, Dan?
6 strands at least.
Right, and they're going to be, the school's going to be using 3 of them,
So 3 are
and we
spare.
have, right, and we'll have access to the other 3
Until they
until
need it.
some date in the future, maybe it's 3 years or 5 years from now, they'll need those and we'll need to lay our own.
Okay, okay, they give it to us, thank you. There is a question in my mind, the termination 90 days, we need 6 months, you're not gonna be able to pull, if something happens and you need a cable, in 90 days, you're not gonna be able to pull cable. You need 6 months at least to be able to terminate if they wanna give us notice.
So why don't we ask them if that's acceptable?
Yeah,
just so we know.
so
What page
if
is that,
that
Max?
happens, and the question
I know I saw it.
Where
is,
is it, Max?
it's the termination. They have it over here. I'll tell you in a second. Revocation
Ask
notice.
gently.
Revocation notice, it's number 5.
that's all.
Yeah. And the other thing is, if they're gonna build the cables, and they're gonna put the strands in, why don't we plan now with them, if they wanna use those cables in the future, to put an extra pair for us now, so even if they want those pairs back, we don't have to go, once, the cost
And we
of.
pay for it now?
Listen for a second, the cost of pulling the cable is the same if he has 4 pairs, 6 pairs, 8 pairs. It's the cost of pulling through the conduit and all the other stuff. The incremental pair, it's almost nothing in terms of cost.
That's our cost,
Yeah,
our
I
cost,
think-
and that's anticipated in the capital.
Correct.
what I'm
This is-
saying
This
is,
is just lowering the initial
So
cost.
we're
because we-
anticipating
right,
this in our capital discussion this year?
Correct.
Okay,
okay, so what I'm saying, when they're putting
Yeah.
in, let's put an extra pair in advance.
Right.
So if they
Yeah,
decide
you
to
don't
drop
have-
I
us,
understand, that makes sense, yeah.
we spend very little. Okay, good, thank you.
Okay, administrators report.
Okay. 2017 municipal budget, I think you're aware that some changes were made and in the timing, which essentially has resulted in adoption being moved up 1 week to accommodate the auditor's work calendar. The revised schedule is located in the front of your budget books, which you'll be getting this evening, following the conclusion of the meeting. And our budget hearings begin this Saturday at 9 a.m., February 11th. Of course, we're hearing about a snowstorm.
Oh.
It's always like that.
So
I'll bring bagels.
You bring bagels?
Yeah.
Who brings the coffee?
Coffee we usually have.
we usually make that here.
Coffee we
I'll bring donuts.
You bring the donuts, I'll bring the bagels.
Okay.
Who brings the cream cheese?
I can do that.
You can do the cream cheese.
That's
Good.
the main thing.
That's it.
We'll bring the budget books. The BCUA solid waste amendment, which is on the agenda for tonight, we just wanted to comment that we are in support of this amendment. It's been a very good working relationship that we have with BCUA. They are trying to keep the costs down, and they've been very successful at that. We're basically talking about a 25-cent increase per ton, which is great. So, in terms of other updates, at the last meeting, it was asked about the amount of money that we have currently in the Storm Trust Fund, and as you can see, we have a very healthy balance
Yeah.
of over $98,000. There was comment about the tree removal that CSX was doing, and as it turned out, CSX did come back and remove the debris. My biggest comment about it is they don't communicate with us. They don't tell us. So I wish they would. But we were happy to hear that they would come back and cleaned it up before it became a major problem for us. We had a representative from the AFA committee last week who talked about proposed recommendations for treatments for ADA improvements at the park. That information has been turned over to the borough engineer for review. Most likely, we would look at it, anything that is agreed upon would be done as part of the planned construction and/or the spring cleanup, because if you recall, some of the items that were on the list were actually maintenance, not major construction. And that was basically it. The next upcoming holiday is President's Day on February 20th. And by then, we will have had 3 budget meetings,
Good,
okay?
thank you, Joel.
Alrighty.
Anyone have questions on the resolutions for this evening?
Just to say the fact that the expenditures, again, were not listed in a way that could be easily analyzed, and they were not by department. And I know you have to do that by department in order to manage the departments.
Well, right now, we're still in the midst of the conversion.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be supplying a list to Edmonds
Yeah.
to discuss the loose ends.
Yeah,
And this is
because
a loose end.
you will need them yourself to manage your departments, to know how much each department spends against their budget.
We
Well,
we
I
can
can
see
manage,
that
yeah.
in the system.
Yeah, there's a,
The issue
there's
is
a
the
module
reports.
that I
Yeah.
can call up
Yeah.
and I can see the budget
Yeah,
easily.
it's not that we
But-
can't see what we're
Yes,
We
so-
cannot see it.
But
Right.
the thing is, that is one of the items for discussion. Now, I'm hoping that this isn't just a canned system, because then I'm gonna make the recommendation that they do something about that, because I could see the value in it.
Absolutely.
Jewel and I have discussed it,
Yeah.
but I think I'm making a list of items for presentation.
And there are some things we like.
Yeah, there's a lot of
One of
things
the-
we like.
One of my favorite features is now you receive an email and it lists what is in the system for you to, pending for you to approve. So you can now review everything that's there before you have to physically go in, which
You
is
know,
really
I'm sure
nice.
there is another comment I have over here, and maybe we should discuss for a second, is the shared agreement with the services, with the Tenafly Board of Ed. I looked at the shared agreement, it's very nice and everything. The only issue I have, and I wanna bring it over, is they increased the 2% every year. If every single expense for us increases 2% every year, our budget will increase 2% every year, and that's our maximum that we can. All the contracts I write now with I only allow maximum 1%. Now, I don't know what the relation is gonna be with the Board of Ed. I would suggest we ask if we can get this reduced, the increase, the yearly increase to, reduced to 1% rather than 2%,
I
to
don't-
start.
I don't believe that's gonna happen, and that's because we're amending an agreement that we've already had for 9 years with a 2% escalator. For the value of what we get from the Board of Education, it is more than fair.
Well, everybody says that because
And we
that's
have
how
to
the
look at
agreements
each
are.
transaction on its own basis.
Yeah, well, that,
We
this
can't,
is,
you can't just have a general rule that nothing ever increases by more than 2%. It just doesn't work.
it never ever increases by more than 2% if we don't ask for it. If we can look at it, it's good. If they say no, they say no. But I think it's our obligations to find out, if we can do that.
We've had extensive conversations with the board on this. This is actually the second amendment, and as I said, what we're paying for, what we're paying is less than you pay a single individual, and we're getting an entire department for it.
Okay.
It's more
Okay.
than fair.
Any questions about the minutes to be approved for this evening? For the good of the order,
Yes. I need to put it in for the next meeting, Bill, that we update the borough ordinance for the junior firefighter program to include family members of the Tenafly Fire Department.
What do you mean?
So if you're a member of the Tenafly Fire Department and you have a child that fits in that junior criteria, they can join.
Why couldn't they,
Well,
why couldn't
because-
they join?
Well, because if you live outside of Tenafly, they wouldn't fit that criteria.
Oh, you mean no matter where you
People
live?
outside.
No,
Yeah, aren't the specific communities listed in the ordinance?
no,
They're
not in
not?
the junior ordinance.
Oh, okay, but in the
The
adult.
regular ordinance, yes,
Right.
there's specific communities that you can live in
Draw
and be a
from.
member of Tenafly Fire Department.
Right.
We want that to include the juniors
With the same
for
towns?
the,
Oh,
for the,
okay,
for the
okay.
family members
I
only.
got it.
in other words, the same rules for the non-residents as the residents.
But
Okay.
only for family members.
For family members, right, for family
Family
members
members of members
of members.
only.
Right, right.
You live in-
So does that mean if your uncle's a firefighter in Tenafly and you live in Dumont and you're 15 years, whatever the age is, you can
Right.
join?
Correct.
I see what you're, it's not,
Okay.
That makes sense.
okay, I get it.
And
Anything
same
else?
towns
Did
as
we-
well.
The interborough mutual aid agreement, did we, it has to be put into the resolution every year. I don't know if it was done yet.
I think we did in the beginning.
I just want to make sure before
I feel
I,
like I
We'll
saw it.
check. Yeah, I thought that.
Yeah, let's confirm that. I thought we voted on that last month,
all right.
but let's confirm it.
Yeah.
And last but not least, in last year's budget, the fire department was allocated, I'm gonna say 15,000, I could be wrong on the number, so please, to paint the engine room. We're, right now it's in limbo, nobody's telling the fire department what's going on.
It was requested, but it was one of many items that was deferred because of the fact that we tripled the amount for road resurfacing, but it's in this year's.
Okay. Okay,
So
thank you.
part of it is backtracking, and we're gonna have to deal with some of the items that we deferred from
Okay.
last year.
Old business, Tony, do you have anything else?
No, thank you.
Old business? Before we adjourn to the regular meeting, do we want to stay in this room, or do
Is
you?
there, are there people there?
Is the other room set up?
Would you like me to look?
Are there people there?
No,
If
we
not,
should
we'll
stay
just
here.
stay here.
You guys wanna stay?
Jamie's here.
Okay.
Does everyone want to stay here? You good with that?
Yeah, too much.
Okay, that's fine. Let's bring,
Is that her
bring
call?
Jamie. What?
It's her call.
We stay here.
Okay, we'll stay here.
If you're a child or anywhere related, do you have to reside with them?
So, we need a motion to adjourn, please.
I move.
Second?
Family members, members.
All in favor?
I,
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act 1975, Chapter 231, the notice requirements have been satisfied. The meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the municipal center, and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Salute to the flag. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Borzalato?
Here.
Councilmember Bod?
Here.
Councilmember Heater?
here,
Councilmember Clark?
Here.
Councilmember Stefanowitz?
Here.
Councilmember Zeta?
Here. Approve, can I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
So moved.
Before that, we're talking about the schedule, yeah? If there is any changes to
Minutes
the
first.
schedule.
Minutes we do first.
Minutes do
Then
first,
we-
I'm sorry.
So do I have a,
second,
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Revisions to the agenda?
There must be
Okay.
one.
Yeah, so I had a caller, somebody called me, and was trying to look at the agenda, and she objected to the fact that this is a swim club parking lot lease issue. It's not really a swim club parking lot issue. It's, because it's misleading, it's really between us and the Board of Ed, and it happens that's gonna be used, but and has to, so people don't think that we have a lease and we sign a lease with
with the swim club.
with a swim club, which we don't. So just that as a way of announcing it.
Okay.
So people don't think
Maybe
that.
parking lot lease. That's-
Exactly.
Oh,
that's it.
so we
Parking
can
lot
talk
lease.
about that when we get to the lease discussion. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other revisions? No. Public comments? Go around the room. Anyone have any public comments? Public comments?
This is gonna be a quick one.
Okay, that's good. Okay, consent agenda? We have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Third.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Borzalato?
Yes.
Councilmember Bod?
Yes.
Councilmember Heater?
Yes,
Councilmember Clark?
Yep.
Councilmember Stefanowitz?
Yep.
Councilmember Zeta?
Yes.
You wanna introduce Jamie officially?
Oh, we do that now? Okay, Jamie, stand up.
welcome.
Everyone knows Jamie can.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So when did you give notice?
I did.
And how did that go? Well, I hope?
They're very happy for me, but they're gonna
Good.
miss me.
Great.
That's for sure.
Happy for you to leave?
They'll miss me when I'm gone.
So what day do you start here?
February 21st.
Yes, the day after the holiday.
Right.
Oh, very nice.
But
So
we've been communicating,
Yes.
and we'll continue to communicate.
have you had a tour yet, or met any, met any of the players, or?
I have
We're
not,
gonna do
but
that.
yeah, we
You
can
do
do that
all that?
before I start. Mhm.
Did
So-
you see
so-
the truck that you're gonna drive?
Oh,
So what do you need from us to make your transition easier?
you guys, I've met most of you numerous times, so I think I feel really comfortable here. It already feels like home to me, so I'm excited to start. So I
Good,
don't really need
good.
anything.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
We'll
remember that.
Yeah. yeah.
So what's
Well,
this,
well, hold
the
on.
day start, what did they start, the
21st.
start date?
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
After the
21st,
holidays.
Yeah.
So will she be at the budget meeting for the rec department?
Yes, because she'll be official. That'll be the 25th.
Yes, the 25th.
Oh,
okay.
that's right, okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
4
We're
days.
starting
Yeah.
the 26th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be good now. The
Oh, man.
20, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Jamie and I are
Excited.
gonna have a meeting with the recreation staff. We've already got an agenda
Yes.
that's
Perfect.
growing by the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good, wonderful. Well, if you need anything, you know where to find us.
Okay.
You should know the budget meetings are brutal.
Okay. All right, well, thanks, welcome
Well,
aboard.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks for coming in tonight.
No problem. Have a good night.
You too.
That's it.
Committee reports. We'll start with you, Tony.
I'd like to read this letter. It's addressed to myself. We have reviewed your emergency operations plan and find that it meets our criteria for approval as of January 30th, 2017. We are pleased to give our approval and appreciate the time and effort you and your staff have devoted to the development of this essential document. The plan has to be updated annually, which we do. And it's signed by David Brady. He's the major, the commanding officer of the emergency management section of the New Jersey State Police. So it's official that our manual is
Oh, that's great
officially
news.
approved.
Good job, wonderful. Wonderful.
And I thank Captain DeMcConnell for his assistance as well, and Bergen County OEM as well.
Very nice, nice work. Nice work.
That's all I had, thanks.
Dan?
Environmental committee met, you guys met Peter earlier.
Right.
They're moving things along. They should be opening the garden up in the spring. We'll see how that goes this year. There still is a wait list for it though. Joint use met, and that's it.
Any update about Nature Center at Fistus Pond?
No, not yet.
Nothing yet from them.
That's on us now.
Pardon me?
That's on us now. We have to get the borough engineer involved.
It's just a matter of the engineer, right?
A study done.
Okay.
Once we know what's there, how big it is, projected costs.
All right, Paul?
No report.
Matt?
Yeah, the senior citizen committee met yesterday. We are having a meeting with Jewel, I think it's on the 17th, to discuss the bus policy. The bus is coming in March, so we're gonna try to get this moving as fast as possible. Right now, the schedule for the bus, full functionality, is around June, just to make sure that we put together, if the bus comes here in March, we're gonna have the people coming in. We wanna make sure that the policies for the bus, we wanna make sure that we advertise the entire Tenafly knows the bus, so we don't start with 2-3 months of one person a day or so, and
Right.
then everybody asks, what the hell you guys did with the money? That was the first part of the meeting. The second part of the meeting, we had a guest. There was the person from Englewood that is doing in-place aging, and they talked about the initiatives they have in Englewood, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna piggyback on the initiatives from Englewood to see if any of those in-place aging initiatives can be applied also over here in Tenafly. Then there was a conversation that I brought up to last time over here in the council about the fact that other communities do not charge anything for participants in for classes, and so while Tenafly, a very wealthy town, does charge that, and there were discussion about how better we can reach those specific people. What would be the process to reach those specific people without creating any type of animosity or having anybody know about the fact that some of the people over there do not have that capability of paying for that. And we'll be bringing that up when we talk to the Board of Trustee of the to make sure. And that was it.
Okay, thank you. Shaman?
Not this time.
In Pakistan, this time.
Okay, I don't have anything other than Recreation Department, we hired a new Recreation Director.
All right, all right.
And we had a good joint use meeting.
We had a very good joint use meeting, some of which we'll talk about in closed session. Okay, old business.
I'm not sure when I brought it up last, but Joel, can you inquire from the building department as to what is taking so long to demolish the house on the corner of River Edge and Jefferson. The house fire occurred almost 2 years ago. And that house is boarded up and it's in shambles, and it's, let me tell you something, if I was a resident, boy, I'd be, as far as they're not flipping out.
I mean, I know the property you told, I've actually seen people going in and out of there. And there's most days there's a car that's parked in the driveway
Well, I
there.
don't know how they're going in and out because it's posted unsafe structure, so they shouldn't be going in and out.
Well, I'm not saying that they're going in and out on a frequent basis, but
No,
I'm
I
just
see a car
saying,
in the
but
driveway.
I've seen people like at the property, so I don't know what they're doing.
I mean, I
did-
presume we have an ordinance concerning, I mean, it can't sit like that. I mean, it's an eyesore. It's
What if the
horrible.
insurance?
Insurance is ponyed up, yeah.
But-
Resolved.
If we can just
Well,
inquire.
we'll get
Maybe
this-
Bobby has some information that he can tell us, I don't know.
Any other old business? New business? There's no mayor's remarks this evening, other than hopefully, it sounds like Mayor Russell will be back at the next council meeting, so that's good news.
That's good news.
Do you want
Closed
to
session?
read the closed session?
Sure. Resolved in compliance with NJSA 10:12. The mayor and council of the Borough of Tenafly go into closed session to discuss the following matters. First is a personnel matter concerning a leave of absence request. We have a collective bargaining matter to discuss, which is really going to be an update on our contract negotiations. And the last two items are attorney-client privilege items. One, the parking lot lease on Grove Street, which is actually between the one swim club and the former swim club. And the second one is an update on the code litigation. Minutes will be taken of the meeting and released to the public at the time the matter is resolved. After this closed executive session, Mayor and Council will reconvene in this Richard D. Wilson Committee Room to adjourn this public meeting.
So we need a motion to close the public meeting,
No, just to go into, no, just
to go into closed session.
Motion to move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Who's fast and thorough and sharp as a tack. She's playing